For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
808 on CJAD. Welcome to today's Entrepreneur, a program about the entrepreneurial spirit that drives Quebec business. Dan Delmar, along with Fuller Landau's Josh Miller. Welcome, Josh.
Good evening, Dan.
And our guest this evening, Alain Simon of Alain Simon Fleurs. Welcome, Alain.
Well, thank you. Good evening.
And of course, so we're going to talk about the floral industry this hour, among other things. And my first question, Alain, is: have you recovered from Valentine's Day?
It was definitely a long period. We work like 40, 50, 60 hours straight. And after a good night's sleep, we're back on the road and selling projects for upcoming events.
Now, Alain, this is going to be an interesting story, Dan, because Alain has a bit of a different take and a bit different philosophy on entrepreneurialism and running his business and how he approaches it. So it's going to be an interesting story. Alain, take us back to the beginning. How did you get started with the flower shop?
Well, it all started as a project in school. I was in marketing, and I was asked to do a proposal for businesses, and so it was an entrepreneurial class. And I was working part-time for McKenna Florist on Côte-de-Neige at the time. And so upon completing the project, 2-3 years later, I just went ahead and opened that store. It was really great.
Was it an interesting class? I mean, did the class itself kind of inspire you to move on or open your own place? Or was it more just in your head, you just needed to get into that business?
No, I think upon any graduates of BCom, for example, like you want to move on and go to something and either have interviews with Gillette's, Wonderbra, or whatever jobs there's out there, or just go out and try to do something on your own. And I had 2 or 3 projects going at the same time and saying what will go through. And I always had that one project on the shelf, and I said, one day I'll try to implement it. And 25 years later, that's it. It's done. It's incredible.
So where did you go? Did you start your own flower store? Like, what was your vision when you first got into it?
Well, at 25 years old, your vision is just to make it through the next year, and it was great. After a few years in the industry, you try to see how to change things. You try to apply everything you learned in school. Obviously, you're still a young man, 25, 26 years old, and I just kept on trying to see where I want to bring this. And at that time, it was very organized American styles like FTD and very very structured triangular arrangements. And I just said, well, I'd like to do something else. I used to go to Europe a lot, 4 or 5 times a year to Holland, bring in flowers from Holland, something that they weren't used to seeing, clients, and it worked out. They really enjoyed seeing something creative and different, and that's how it happened.
Now you mentioned FTD. Now FTD is a very kind of almost, you think FTD, you think factory, you think the floral arrangements that look all the same all the time. Is that where your heart was? Like, I mean, how long did you do that before you realize that, hey, this might not be my style?
But actually, it's a style that works, and they did an incredible job. Like to have 5,000 florists throughout America to produce and to organize and to promote their industry. I think they did a fantastic job. It's just for me, it was not exactly what I wanted to do, and I was more into creative arrangements, doing parties, doing events, and to fulfill incoming orders, where the florist gets around 64% of the dollar. When my clients are waiting in line, and I'm saying I have to serve these 64% on the dollar, and then so I said, no, I want to serve my client. I want to do the things I'd like to do, and it caught on. I was at Fairview Point Claire. There's a great passing trade. 200,000 people a week pass by in front of my store. I had like a 40 or 35 foot frontage, and I just made these craziest arrangements for that time, for that space, and people would walk by and literally be stopped in their tracks, and that kept me going. It just to say, okay.
So that sounds, I mean, that's very different than an FTD model. I mean, that totally, you're going for the bigger margin. I understand that as an entrepreneur, but then there's the artist side in you that says, hey, I really want to make something great. I want to make something gorgeous. And it's all about the customer at the end of the day. Was that your philosophy from day one?
I guess not. You develop into philosophy. This is 25 years back. I was just happy to be in business and to be employed. What happens is that the interaction with the clients, after a while, you just enjoy it. You want to propose interesting things, and it just takes a life of its own. And 25 years later, when I'm at work, it's more like it's being on stage, and I speak to clients, I make bouquets, and it's just an incredible experience.
What's your creative process like, and how do you keep coming up with new ways of assembling flowers?
Well, that's like, after working 25 years in the industry, this is what you pick up. Like, my forte is that I'm very quick. I could, I might have an order to prepare for 40 centerpieces, and I have a proposal to do. And 3-4 hours before my meeting, it will come together in my head, and I'll present something totally crazy and fun. So I think that's in terms of my competitive advantage, if you go back to school, is that I think I'm a good problem solver. I think very quickly, and I just design new ideas. Sometimes I'll be up half a night or something, and I was thinking of the next thing I'll be doing, because we do 6-7 events a weekend. So I have to come up with a lot of ideas. I imagine if I was in advertising and I'm presenting to say Gillette, or again, how do you think of these new ideas? Well, that's what I do. I think of these crazy ideas.
Alain Simon is our guest on Today's Entrepreneur. He is of Alain Simon Fleurs, 514-790-0991. Today's Entrepreneur continues on CJAD. It's coming up to 8:15 right now.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
8:18 on CJ80. Welcome back to Today's Entrepreneur, inspiring stories from outstanding business people. Dan Delmar, along with Fuller Landau's Josh Miller, and our guest this evening, Alain Simon of Alain Simon Fleurs. And we have a quick question via the phone lines at 790-0991. This is Carol. Hi, Carol.
Hi, I'm enjoying it as a retired florist, thank God. I didn't have to worry about Valentine's this year. But did you find a difference in the public that you're dealing with in the 25 years? Do you find that the public that, like years ago, you could do different things, or you could fix the bouquets, people would spend money and not question, whereas latter years they want more for their $15 or $100. They're a little harder to deal with.
It's a very good question. But like for one part, it's the experience. Like when I was 25 years ago, I was much younger, and I feel that answering clients today, I have a whole different experience, and what their questions and what I'm doing for them is so different. The industry evolved so much. There was very little questions 25 years ago because I don't think there was as many florists. The industry was as I concerned, in infancy. And it's expanded, it's grown. I mean, the box stores today sell 70% of all flowers, whereas just 10 short years ago, it was 60%. So they just grabbed a whole big portion of the industry. And so it's to the florists to adjust and to answer questions in a totally different way of 25 years ago, where you just put your 5-6 flowers together.
So it's not so much the customer that's changed; it's really the industry and the experience of the florist himself.
Yeah, I think so.
And you have one customer here. That's Orla Johannes. Orla, what was your experience with Alain?
Well, I was actually blown away that you came into the studio this evening. I was like, I have to come and see Alain. Alain did the flowers for my wedding 2 years ago, and I was blown away. When I went to a couple of places before I made my decision, and when I walked into Alain's place in Fairview, I expressed my thoughts, and I wanted it romantic and glamorous.
Yes, I remember.
And Alain just came out with this display, grabbing a few things, feathers, boas, candles. I'm like, wow, awesome. That's it. That's what I want. Very creative, Alain.
Well, thank you so much.
Alain, has the process at all changed? I mean, certainly your experience level over the years has changed. But when you approach a client, is it a little different? Has it evolved a little bit over the years with your experience, and how?
Well, yeah, it's but in every industry, every individual doing something for 25 years, day in, day out, you do get better and you're quicker. And the clients I attract also have particular needs. Before it might have been, I want 25 arrangements, low sitting at the table. And today it's 85 arrangements, and I have 4 bars, which needs 12-foot arrangements. So the nature of the business, the level of customers I'm attracting today, it's so different than, one can't compare doing 25 years ago 60 dozens of roses, and today I might do only 35 or 30 dozen of roses, but I do 12 to 15-foot arrangements on bars. And so it changed. It just...
Our guest on today's Entrepreneur is Alain Simon of Alain Simon Fleurs, 514-790-0991. Today's Entrepreneur continues on CJ80. It's coming up to 8:23.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
8:25 on CJAD. Welcome back to today's Entrepreneur. Dan Delmar along with Fuller Landau's Josh Miller. And our guest this evening is Alain Simon of Alain Simon Fleurs. And Alain, we were talking earlier about the big box stores and how that has changed the industry. In your perception, these big box stores getting into the flower market, has that had a negative impact on the industry or positive?
Well, I think it has been, my personal view is a positive one. All of a sudden, people are used to on Thursday, Friday nights, grab a little bouquet, bring it at home. There's more flowers in people's houses than ever. And where I'm concerned, if there's a 25th wedding anniversary or 50th wedding anniversary or a wedding, well, then they need something really special, something different. Already, they're used to having flowers in the house, which 25 years ago, 30 years ago, not everybody bought flowers in the house. It was just, they had great gardens, they had other things, but not necessarily cut flowers in the house. So this is something, by making it so readily available, people say, well, why not? Hey, it's, $12. And last a week, it's fine. But the day they need something really special, well, then it's difficult for them to grab that same bouquet at $12 and say, here, honey, happy 25th anniversary.
And Walmart doesn't do weddings.
Walmart doesn't do weddings.
But Costco does.
Oh, really?
No, yeah.
So how did it, was this something that you had to react to as they started putting some smaller plants and flowers in the stores, or did you see this coming and adjust accordingly?
I saw this coming in 1982, and it's about reacting and having a vision and planning and saying, okay, I want to go this way. And at first people think you're crazy. You're saying, well, geez, what do you mean? You're just selling flowers? You're a flower shop that just sells flowers? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And whereas, today's flower shops are gift shops and they sell plants, in my case it was a vision to say, well, no, I want to go towards just fresh cut flowers. And
now there's something unique that I know about you, Alain, that I really like to bring out, and that is when you're looking at growth, you're looking at the future and the vision. It's not just about pumping out more arrangements.
But there's nothing wrong about punching out more arrangements. Like at every level of this industry, there's people who are doing a great jobs, like the dépanneurs and the markets. They're selling like 250 little bouquets a day, and they're doing a great job. The water's fresh, the flowers are fresh, it's crisp. They're getting flowers cheaply in people's home, and they do great good for the industry. And they're doing a great job, and it's lucrative for them. I'm at the other spectrum. I just chose to do 10 arrangements a day. It's just that they're $250 each. And we have this store at Fairview, which we do, from $65 to $150 arrangements, and smaller ones when required. But it's a choice. And as long as you do your job well in whichever spectrum of this industry, well, then you could be very successful.
So your conscious decision wasn't to make more widgets. It was to make that one widget really awesome.
Well, people tell me, he says, Alain, you work 7 days a week. You work like 80 hours a week. How can you have 2 stores. How can you be everywhere? And I say, well, no, it's not about being everywhere and about making more products and opening a 3rd store. And no, it's just about maybe taking less clients. Like I don't have a sign in front of my store at Westmount. I don't have a website. Till this day, it's really hard for me to explain that to people, and I won't try here tonight. But I just don't want more customers. I just want, better customers, I guess.
And I think the important part here is that you have to have a clear vision, and you got to stick to it. And clear with Alain that he has this vision and he's looking ahead. He's not stopping. The train is going, and he is on board fully. And as an entrepreneur, it's great to be in that driver's seat.
I'll ask him. We have to take a news break.
It's
Alain.
a lifestyle.
But in a second, I'll ask you about that statement that you don't want more customers, because I don't think I've ever heard that out of an entrepreneur before. CJD time is coming up to 8:30.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
8:34 on CJAD. Welcome back to Today's Entrepreneur, a program about the entrepreneurial spirit that drives Quebec business. Dan Delmar, along with Josh Miller of Fleurs Landau. And our guest this evening is Alain Simon of Alain Simon Fleurs. And Josh, I think it's safe to say in the roughly 2 years we've been doing this program, I don't think I've ever heard an entrepreneur say, I don't want any more customers.
As I said, there was a really unique thought process that goes on with Alain, and I'd love for him to elaborate.
Well, yeah. Well, clients are always welcome, that's for sure. But like something that comes across is like you can't be everywhere. You can't do another. I have 2 stores. I work 4 hours at one. I work 4 hours at the other. There's just so much you can do. And at one point, you just have to pick your clients. And when I was saying before, like I want a better client, it could be somebody coming into my shop buying a $45 arrangement or cut flowers, but that person will understand what I'm doing. They want something special, and it's not as it would have been in the past, maybe, or you're passing by, give me a bunch of flowers, I'm late, I'm going to go. So having a better client means somebody who'll understand a little bit more what I'm trying to do, and I think that was important. But more customers per se, I don't have more time.
So it's hard if you are the creative force behind your business, if you're the artist in this case, it's hard to franchise that out or to expand. And
I wouldn't want to, because I would lose direct contact with my clients. My business is me. People want to talk to me. They want to see me do arrangements. They want to see me at their. If I do 6-7 events in a weekend, I have to attend all the events. I got to be there, and it's a very personal business. And yes, my product is flowers, but it's really it's solving a problem. They wanted like a gala event, and it has to be wow, and it has to be spectacular, and I have to be there to walk them through the room and say, is this what you had in mind? And then and to see their face, well, then that's. And then it's repeat business, and it just happens on its own. It's not that I want more customers. It's just I can't do more than 6-7 events per week.
And this is a conscious decision. I guess the question that's going through my head is, are you an artist or are you an entrepreneur?
Half. It started out as being purely business. I did a business plan. I said, this could work. There's a market for this. And as I was traveling, I traveled to Asia, Ecuador, California, a lot to Europe, bringing in flowers from other countries, opening boxes, cleaning the flowers, and all of a sudden, as the flowers go through your hands, something incredible happens. They seduce you. And I can't tell you what year it was, but today, yes, it's still business, it's still textbook, but it's 100% passion, because I can't wait to get my flowers. I can't wait to put them in water and to see what varieties came in and people want something different. You have to differentiate yourself from your competition. And with me, it's a clever product, and it's problem solving. It's making a bouquet very quickly in front of somebody, and they say, how'd you do that? And it's fun.
I think clearly we've seen and heard about the artist side of it, and it's absolutely remarkable to see and hear and almost feel the passion in his voice, seduced by flowers. Wow. Not Valentine's Day. Anyhow, but on the entrepreneurial side, I guess there's a real science to getting your product. I hear about these stories, florists that have to wake up at 4 a.m. and they got to go make sure the fresh product is in for the day because everybody wants that. Alain, there's got to be an art or some information or experiences that you can tell us about your buying and purchasing of your product.
Yeah, 4 o'clock in the morning is true, because you have to be in your shop by 8:30, 9 with the products there and ready. And you finish late because when we're seeing clients for weddings, a lot of them come after work, so 6, 7, and 8 are my appointments, and so I'm home by 10. I think buying is very important, but having an understanding wife is more important. I'm gone. I'm gone from 4 in the morning till 10 at night, practically every day.
Well, we won't deal with the marital or conjoint issues.
Every entrepreneur has that issue.
I have no doubt they do. And if we have time, maybe we'll get to it. But what about the buying? I mean, were you vertical at some point?
Yes, we. All through my 25 years, I always seek that special flower, and I traveled. And it's from 1989 to 93, 94. I got a lot of my products from Holland. I would go 4 times a year. I'd buy. Then Ecuador became very hot. A lot of Dutch people would be growing flowers, being in partnership with the Ecuadorians. I mean, it's high noon, 12 months a year. It's great for growing flowers. And so I also went there, brought a lot of flowers on my own. And lately it was California. So for 2-3 years, bringing roses and other flowers from California. And the recession hit, and it becomes very difficult to do that on your own right now.
No, to manage the risk, I presume, is certainly something you always have to be aware of. I mean, it's travel costs, it's freight, and it has to get here on time.
And one of my last shipments from California was at Christmas a year and a half ago, or a year and a little bit. And the flight was delayed. It took 5 days to get to Montreal. There was a snowstorm, and on the 22nd of December, I have $10,000 of products frozen. That put a little damper on the bringing flowers from California.
Talking about buying, because you are an artist and I believe the sole proprietor of your business,
yes.
Do you ever let your artistry get out of control? Do you
All
ever,
the time.
You ever buy too much?
All the time, yeah. But it's just like I never bought a lottery ticket. I never played in the casino. This is my business. And so if I fall in love with a flower, or if I see a whole lot of a flower, I'll decorate my windows. I'll use it on my standing orders, corporate events. It'll get used up. But definitely it's a fine line. It's definitely all emotional.
No, and I think from a marketing aspect, you have your product, you have your design, you have this gorgeous looking arrangement, and that's what sells you and your product.
Definitely, because we sell dreams, we sell wow. I've been saying this for years, but it's true. People, yes, they love flowers. They'll buy, but the way we put our flowers together, there's a harmony, there's a balance to it, and it just changes all the time. It's like I'll do one type of arrangement for like 3-4 months, and then from there. So what I'm doing today is so different what I did 5 years ago, just because it changes every 3 months.
Now, I mean, you're constantly reinventing yourself or reinventing your product, but you're not alone. I mean, you have people that work with you. Is this knowledge that you impart to them, or are they just kind of executing what you throw in front of them?
Oh, well, trading is there is really no schooling you can do what I do. It just takes apprenticeships, work many years in an industry, but it's true, you cannot do all the arrangements. Like if I have an event that I have 40 arrangements, 40 centerpieces, I'll do 1 or 2, and I have a team to do the other 38. But it's a team that I work with for 5 years. It's a relationship. We go eat together. We dance together. I hate to use the term, it's a family, but it is. People who work with us, they really enjoy what we're doing. It's not just doing a bouquet after bouquet after bouquet. And so I challenge them. I'm saying, this is where we're going. This is what we want to do. I'll show them a picture of a dress, a black dress with a fur collar, and I'll say, well, see, this is a vase. This is a black vase with a black boa, and let's try to, and we just get ideas where we can, and just go with it and play. And I think I have a good team, and they really enjoy that kind of work. It's very challenging.
Do you have trouble finding your people?
No, because we have a very nice store, nice business, and it attracts a lot of people. We get 3-4 applications a week of people, please, will you train me? And I can't. I'm not a teacher. I enjoy talking. I enjoy explaining, but it's work. And the product at the end of the day has to go out, because if they don't help me get out this product, I don't go home.
So if you had to give any words of wisdom to today's entrepreneur, whether it's starting a flower business or any kind of business, what would you tell them?
Well, I would definitely say that entrepreneurs is it's a lifestyle. It's not a job. It's something you'll be doing, and you sleep, you work, you eat, and you're in business all the time.
Dan, there's nothing that has come out on all the shows that we've done. We've had entrepreneurs here, and they've kind of, they've expressed a little bit of their passion and their love for their business. Clearly, I have not seen anybody express their love for their product, their business, their passion. They're getting seduced by that lovely arrangement. I was about to say by the dark side, but getting seduced by their product the way Alain does, and that certainly permeates throughout his entire business, and that's what drives him. As any entrepreneur, they got to find something and they got to drive them. And there is no better example than Alain and his success and the people around him. And certainly Orla has attested to it, can see what the results are. And that is the benefit of that passion with an entrepreneur.
And like Alain was saying, sometimes even when he does get carried away because he just loves the product so much, he adapts and rolls with it. And, I guess you don't waste a lot of stock, right? I mean, you sort of adapt and...
Well, I don't waste a lot of stock, because if it's like wasting it, like if I do floral arrangements in my window, well, it'll last 5, 6, 7 days. Hundreds of people will see it. On a daily basis, there's 3 or 4 cameras taking pictures of my windows. Sometimes I finish at 11 o'clock at night, and I see this white car with a white camera coming out and taking pictures. So somewhere down the line, the more flowers I have, the more I could show what we're doing. It's beneficial. It's marketing. I could have all this advertisement dollars out, or I could have my products in my windows. And I can understand in the industry it's a scary thing. A lot of florists might be a little bit scared of doing that, but at this level, I mean, I actually do use them at the end of the week. They're all gone.
Coming up after the break, we'll bring Kevin Ammerman from Fleur Landau into the conversation to discuss IT issues in your business. 8:45 right now on CJAD.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
8:49 on CJAD. Welcome back to today's Entrepreneur. And our guest this evening, Alain Simon of Alain Simon Fleurs. We'll also bring in right now Kevin Ammerman into the conversation. Kevin is the IT specialist at Fuller Landau. And we were discussing earlier, Kevin, about how Alain does not have a website. And is it necessary for all entrepreneurs to have a website?
I think if you ask a lot of people, they'll say yes, 100%. But I don't think it's true. If you don't have a need for a website, if you don't have the resources or the desire to maintain a website and keep it built up and operating and dynamic, then why, right? If it's not the focus of your business, you don't want a brochure, a static type site. You're not selling the same product over and over to people. Why spend the money on it?
And what other options can there be? I mean, can you use the web or some computer to target specific clients? I mean, is there an option for people?
Definitely in your website, you can target specific regions. You can focus your marketing on your webpage to specific audiences, whether they be regional or demographic or any other language specific. But you are really working on a worldwide stage, and it really lends itself to a wider broadcast. If you're dealing with 500 clients on a regular basis, they're consistent clients, they're clients and know how to find you, then there's not such an advantage.
And Alain just doesn't want the attention, I guess.
Well, it's not that I don't want the attention, but I like at my Westmount store, I don't have a sign on my door on top of my store. So at one point, it's just what was said. They know where to reach me. My product is out there in the windows. And that for me is sufficient. Like anything more I'd be swamped with answering calls and having 3-4 more people to answer calls. And as it is, it's quite sufficient.
But sometimes, I mean, a website doesn't have to give everything away. I mean, sometimes a mystery can still be a mystery, but on the web. Wouldn't that be something that, I mean, I'm sure that's possible. I'm sure you can leave little trailers around.
Well, it's the story that you want to tell. So again, a lot of people would say, look, it's an inexpensive medium. You can get up and running. You can have something set up in a fairly short amount of time, and you really can, as we've seen from any number of different websites, you can tell a lot of different stories in a lot of different ways. And this is where the sort of the artist meets the entrepreneur. Who's winning in this little argument? It sounds like the artist is winning in this case, and you get to choose your medium, and that's what art is. That's what it's about.
And maybe there's a story about blogs, where blogs can kind of come into this store and come into this work frame where you don't have to show what the product is, but you can kind of tell your story. You can talk about the seduction of the flower and the product.
Exactly, and that's one place where a lot of people who don't have the graphical know-how or the wherewithal to go out and spend thousands of dollars on graphics can really tell their story in a web medium. It's a lot less expensive, and if that's the way that a person can express themselves and communicate with their market, that's the way to do it. Use the tools that you have at hand and do what you're good at.
Alain, are you ever afraid that because you don't have a web presence, that maybe there's a web presence is being created for you? Maybe there's some nasty stuff about you out there? I mean,
no, I'm sure there is, and I have seen a couple of things, but like some photos I think that a website is important, and I think an entrepreneur should have one. It's just particular to me, and I'm not saying I'll never have one. I'll just say that. I have not felt the need. We booked 12 appointments this week. I'm coming home like at 10 o'clock every night. I don't think at this particular time, I would require a web page.
And I guess you have to be prepared for more business if you do decide to put yourself on the web, be able to handle more demand.
You have to be prepared to make your selection more strategically. As Alain said earlier, it's not always about all the customers coming in, but sometimes you want to select your customers. And not every entrepreneur has that willpower to just select what they want to come in the door.
Today's Entrepreneur continues in a moment. It is 8:53.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult Fuller Landau, Chartered Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
8:57 on CJAD. Remaining moments of today's Entrepreneur with our guests Alain Simon of Alain Simon Fleurs, as well as Kevin Ammerman, the IT specialist at Fleurs Landau. And we're talking about web presence and blogging.
And I think maybe what a lot of entrepreneurs, and sometimes they don't have the time to take care of it and follow it, but when they can control their own content, it's certainly a great thing. Now, blogs are certainly one way to go. Kevin, maybe you can elaborate a little bit on, is it easy to set one up? How do people tend to follow it?
It's amazingly easy to set up. There are services out there that you can start blogging for free. Again, depending how personalized you want to make it, you can spend more money or you can spend more time on it. But the whole point of a blog is that you can put your message out there, you can take control of what you're saying to the world, and you can really put it forward and control the message that you're giving to your audience. Getting it picked up and getting people reading it, that's the hard part. There's a little bit of a marketing aspect involved there. But actually getting that blog set up and running is not a difficult
So you don't need your own website? You can just...
Well, you create your own website. It may be hosted by a third party, or it may be your own website, literally. But to get started and to get things rolling, you can very easily go to sites such as Blogger, which is owned by Google, and start typing, and away you go.
Thank you very much, Kevin. I also want to thank Alain Simon. And I think one of the big takeaways, and we're just kind of ending with it, is control. It's controlling your destiny. It's controlling your vision. It's controlling who you want as customers, controlling your product, controlling how you want to get your message out there, controlling whether you want to do marketing or you don't want to do marketing. And I think that for an entrepreneur to have that mindset and that focus on his business is absolutely crucial. So control, I think, is a huge aspect of any successful entrepreneur out there. Make sure you have it. Make sure you follow that path. And don't look back. Just keep looking forward with that vision.
And thank you, Josh Miller. You can reach Fuller Landau during business hours at 514-875-2865 or visit their website. Yes, they do have a web presence. It's
Yes.
www.flmontreal.com. Today's Entrepreneur returns next Monday night, and Delmar at Night is next on CJAD.